Good morning and happy Friday. Welcome to another episode of Money Matters with myself, Randy Mendez of the Mendez Home Team at eXp Realty, and always with my partner in crime. I don't know if I should say that. Karen Thompson at Alameda Home Mortgage. How are you?
I am good. How are you?
Good. Well, I mean, really, I feel a little bit like I got hit by a Mack truck. I don't know. I don't know if I didn't have enough caffeine yesterday. I don't know what the deal was, but I got a caffeine headache last night, and those take me down. But I am ready to go. It is Friday. I am pumped. I'm going to finish Friday strong so I can hang out with my family. How about you?
Oh, that's awesome. What do you guys have good plans?
Yeah, we're going to go to the lake.
Good for you. Nice.
Well, and the boys are going to work on the house and do all that good stuff. But the girls are going to take off up to Redding and go to a baby shower for my little cousin, which I'm really excited to get to see her. So,
Oh, nice. Okay, good.
yeah, so I'm excited for that. So what are we talking about today?
Today we're talking about with the increase, we've talked about it so many times, it's, houses are flying off the market. People are going into contract before they even hit the listing. And I think, one conversation I've had a lot more with my clients than I've ever had in the past is, why can't I list it myself? Why do I need an agent? So I thought it would be great if we just kind of had some conversation directed towards, why do they need an agent? What exactly? I know what you provide for me as the listing agent and the buyer's agent. But what does an agent provide to the clients? Why should they use an agent as opposed to listing it themselves with houses flying off the market? Do they need you?
Yeah, I mean, so that's a great question. And it's funny that you say that because one of my business partners out of Vegas called me and said, "Hey, I need you to run comps." And she says, it's for a house up there. And I said, you have a listing up here? And she's like, "Yeah, kind of. It's a FSBO." And I said, "Oh, really?" And she's like, "Yeah, it's a hard-headed FSBO." And then as the conversation went along, she said, "Yeah, it's my dad." And I couldn't help but laugh because I said, "Why is your dad a FSBO?" Right? Because she's an agent. And I said, why is your dad, a FSBO? And his thought was exactly along those lines of, well, I want to maximize. And funny enough, I started doing some research, and he's officially a FSBO, right? So he's marketing and he's out there and he's advertising, and he's still on the market for starters. But so, I mean, here's the thing, there's a lot of emotion. I want to go back for a second. In any market, an agent, the skill, the forethought, the ability to not just get you the offer, but get you to the finish line, the ability to make sure that the liability is reduced, to make sure that your I's are dotted, your T's are crossed, to make sure, I mean, that is huge in any market. But I'm going to tell you right now, in this market, emotion is flooding the market. And a lot of hope and desire is flooding the market, but not necessarily a lot of reality. And so what I mean by that is, you can be a FSBO right now and you can probably get yourself 10 offers, but how do you even begin to differentiate between the strongest offer and the highest offer? How do you begin to know where the issues are going to be? How are you going to look and go, you know what, somebody can't do that with that loan product, or that doesn't make sense, or they don't have that, those numbers don't add up, right? There's a lot of places that our skill and that the fact that we're doing this day in and day out allows an agent to find the holes before. And so we're going to always, a lot of times, we're not only going to make you more, and there's statistics. I mean, there's National Association of Realtor statistics that show that you net more in your pocket when you use an agent. But aside from that, we're going to protect you from time. We're going to protect you from headaches. We're going to protect you. And there's a lot of moving parts in these transactions, right? And so I will tell you, we're also going to help you to not be overwhelmed. I have a seller we listed this weekend, and we knew we were going to be on the market. So we have plan, we have strategy, we are coordinating the insane amount of interest. I mean, I'm going to tell you right now, if I was a FSBO and I was trying to coordinate, 50, 60, 70, 80 showings on a weekend, that alone, I'd say, you know what, you handle this. I'm going somewhere else for the weekend. You handle this. So just that alone. But I called my seller and I said, she's like, "I'm a little stressed. There's so many showings there." I said, "Don't. You have nothing to be stressed about, nothing. You go enjoy your weekend. When we get together on Tuesday, you're going to have a spreadsheet, and it's going to show you not only, every single different product type and every single additional term, but it's going to show you your bottom line." So imagine being somebody that doesn't do this full time, having to go through 5, 10, 15, 20 offers and try to decipher what that's even going to actually net you and look like.
I would agree. And in talking about that client, I obviously spoke to her as well. And it's kind of what sparked me to think this would be a great conversation to open up. One thing that I thought was interesting is she said, okay, we're doing open houses, an open house on Saturday. And Randy thinks it'd be a great time for me to go and look at houses. So that way it keeps me out of my house, keeps me busy, and she has the freedom to show that house, which I know this sounds on such an elementary level. Duh, of course that's what you would do. But honestly, if you don't have an agent kind of coordinating that and scheduling that, it's just like, a higher, it's just like having an assistant, you're scheduling, hey, we're going to have it scheduled from this time to this time. And in the meantime, I have these 5 houses scheduled for you to look at today during those times. So we are going to keep this busy and we're going to not only help you list, but, buy as well this weekend. And like I said, on such an elementary level, I was like, wow, well, that's pretty smart. Seems so easy though, right?
I mean, it does. I mean, so, we're going to systemize the process and we're going to make it more fluid. We're going to make it simpler, right? Right now, I mean, the excitement is crazy. The amount of activity is intense, but we're going to streamline all of that for you. But beyond that as well, right now, agents, and I don't mean this offensively to any agents out there, but agents that are in this industry are struggling with pricing a house. They're struggling with, what is a true value? They're struggling with a lot of moving parts. And again, this is where an agent's going to be able to come in and we're going to be able to speak. I am, able to show my clients, hey, here's what the data is showing us, but then here's how I want you to understand that, demand is going to speak. And so they have very clear, I'm also helping them to coordinate. Right now, one of the biggest things for sellers is where the heck do I go, right? We're actually able to get our sellers in contract. We're actually able to, get them moving one step forward. And I mean, there's so many things. And here's the bottom line is it's so dependent on your individual transaction and your individual needs. So what is most important to you? Is it time? Is it bottom line? Is it, a rent back? Is it this? There's so many things that when I'm talking to my sellers and we're diving deep and we're having that personal conversation of, okay, you tell me ideally from beginning to end, what would this process look like for you? And you tell me that, then I'm going to have a conversation with you specific to that. And I'm going to toss out ideas like, okay, well, what about doing this? I have one particular seller right now, and I will just use her as an example. And I say this, I don't want to say it. I don't want it to sound egotistically. It's just factual. It couldn't happen without an agent because she doesn't know what she doesn't know. And so for her buy side to line up, I had to be extremely strategic on the listing side. And there was holes I had to look for as her listing agent that I don't know, a seller wouldn't have known to look for them. A seller wouldn't have known, okay, I have to actually time this. Let me give you an example. This particular client, we have to buy her about a week and a half worth of time before her closing so that we can get a couple things done on the financial side for her buy to make that happen. If you're a FSBO, how do you even begin to start to position yourself to negotiate like timelines and where you're going to live and the rent back and expediting an appraisal on the other side and double checking on that appraisal's expediting? And how about an appraisal waiver? Or, like what about the removal of the inspection contingencies and expediting those timelines? It's not that, it's I don't want to say that it's that somebody couldn't be a FSBO. It's just that why would you? Why would you? Why take on all of that? Why take into we will net you more? And it just doesn't make sense. There's so many moving parts.
So I'm a seller and I've decided to list at FSBO and I got 10 offers in. This one's the highest. Should I take it? I'm going to make the most money off this offer.
Yeah. And well, first and foremost as a FSBO, I mean, I've had some great relationships with FSBOs and I've had some FSBOs turned into lifelong clients, but 9 times out of 10, they tell me, oh, this is the highest offer. And I say, is it? And then we dive into them and they're like, oh, I didn't know that. Oh, I didn't know that because, oh, I'm paying the transfer taxes on that one. And I didn't know what that meant. Oh, I'm paying the CIC on that. And I didn't know what that meant. And what is the CIC and how much does that cost? Right. So keep in mind that, an agent is going to be able to go through an offer line by line and first and foremost, vet it to see if your highest offer is actually your strongest offer. Right. And then let me give you another example. I was going over offers with another seller the other day, and we had 3 top contending offers. of the top contending offers, her thought was exactly what you just said, Sharon. It was, okay, we're going to go with this offer. And I think the number, I'm just remembering the net, but it was close to like 140 that it would net her, right? Walk away. And I said, okay, but I need you to know that you're basically rolling the dice. And she says, what do you mean I'm rolling the dice? I said, you're right that that's the highest offer, but that offer has no gap clause. That offer has no assurity. It has no guarantee. So if the appraisal comes in and it appraises, you're golden. You're getting that. But if the property doesn't appraise, you're back to negotiations and seeing if, one, they will come up at all, which if they would have, they probably would have put that in their original offer, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if it doesn't appraise, that beautiful extra, and I'm just rounding up here, but that beautiful extra $40,000 you think you're going to be pocketing isn't going to be reality, right? And here's the truth. I don't think anybody could bet money on how appraisals are going to fall nowadays. I just don't think you can. If you can, I don't know how you're doing it, okay? Because they're just kind of all over the board. Some appraisers are giving more weight to demand, some aren't. Some are very conservative, some are a little bit less conservative. And, that also, as a seller, is something you need to know that that's not a phone call you make. That's something that happens on the buyer's lender side. And even the buyer's lender isn't getting to pick that appraiser. It's done from a draw of the hat. And so, you just kind of have to know that, whoever you get, you get. And so we went over them and I said, I need you to understand that while the third offer, it's the third highest offer, it's actually the strongest offer because it assures you the money. So you can look at these three different offers and you can pick this one and roll the dice going for that top dollar. You can pick this one and it's a little bit safer, but it's still a dice roll. Or you can pick this one and have absolute surety. So what does that position look like for the seller? Well, if the seller knows that they need X to do what they're doing, this gives it to them. You see what I'm saying? And that my client absolutely unequivocally, when I sent him the information, I work with my listing manager where we work to put it all laid out for him. And when I got on the phone, she was 100% sure of what she was taking. And then I said, okay, but let's talk about it. And afterwards she's like, yeah, no, I don't want that offer. So, that's another point of exactly what you just asked.
Exactly. So when we look at, I would say another point when you talk about listing it on your own, I think that a big thing that clients see is the big commission that you make. Oh, that's a lot of money that I have to pay. But one thing I think a lot of people don't think of when they talk about I'm going to list it myself is they do still have to pay the buyer's agent's commission.
Right.
You don't get out of that. So what are you really saving by not having a listing agent when you still have to pay? But a lot of times they look at the commission as a whole, like this is one big commission I have to pay. But whether you have a listing agent or not, you're still having to pay the buyer's agent commission.
Well, and
really, what do you cost? Do you really cost even that much?
Well, I just chuckle. Again, I can honestly say that I feel that my clients sit in a better place by choosing to allow us to serve them and sell their home. They net more. They're better protected. They're better represented. They have better peace of mind. They're coming out of the situation better. They're going into their next situation better. I know that without a doubt. But I have to say, I chuckle when I do talk to a FSBO and they say, well, I'll pay you to bring a buyer. I always say, okay, well, that's cool that you're going to pay me to work against you. It's funny to me that the first thing that they'll do is they'll say, well, I'll pay for the buyer's agent. So you will pay for the skill to work against you, but not for the skill to work for you.
Right.
I just have to chuckle a little because that's what you're saying, right? Like imagine being in a divorce and you're like, I'm not getting an attorney, but I'm totally going to pay for my other, that my spouse's attorney. I need you. You get an attorney. I'll pay you. I'll represent myself. This will work out great. Like I just have to chuckle, because at the point you're paying me to represent the buyer, I'm representing the buyer, right? And if you don't know about a hole, it's not my job to tell you about the hole. It's not my job to tell you, hey, you could have got more money. I just represented a FSBO. It's closed now, but I just represented a FSBO. And every time I was in the house, all I thought, I'm sorry, let me rephrase that. I represented the buyer on a FSBO. Every time I was in the house, all I thought is I could have got you $20,000 more. Do you think I ever said that? Never. It's not my job to say that. It wasn't my job to price the house. Every time I went there, I went back and told my buyers, I'm so thankful they're FSBO. An agent would have never let this house sell for this price. Like, you wouldn't have got this house. Not only would you have not got this house because it would have been priced out, but it would have got the better exposure that it needed. And there would have been 20 people knocking down the door to buy this house. So like in this case, I am so thankful for this FSBO. But boy, did that FSBO sell themselves short.
Not to mention the amount of repairs that they did on that house.
Right.
But they wouldn't have had to do in this market. They did unbelievable amount of repairs that you were like,
Right.
no other seller would ever do this. They would never do these repairs right now.
I'm like,
Because their agent would say, we don't need to do these repairs. You're buying it or you're not. Are you in or you out?
Well, and that's the exact thing. And I mean, from pricing to navigating repairs to expectations around the appraisal to, you know, verbiage and liability. I mean, there's a lot of things that we clean up. You know, there's a lot of things that we double check. And sometimes on the sell side, it can feel great. Like, oh, you know, they're buying it, you know, as is, and I'm doing this and I'm doing that. That stuff needs to be outlined. You want somebody making sure, you know, I just did another one. And we were attaching to the seller's real property disclosure, and everything that we were attaching was just that next layer of safety, having everybody acknowledge the moving parts. When you have moving parts, you know, this is what FSBOs also don't realize. You have the right to be a for sale by owner, but you still have to follow, you know, statute. You still have obligations. You still have an authority to, you know, you still have to do a seller's real property disclosure. And I hear so many times like, well, I didn't even remember that, or I didn't think of that. Well, you didn't ask a professional to actually tell you what you were supposed to do on that document either, you know? So I think it's one of those things. I get it, you know, but, you know, a lot of times you get what you pay for. And I know for me, you know, the handful of times that I have not wanted to actually lean into a professional and it hasn't turned out so great. And, you know, here's what I will also tell you. Take it all aside. If there's a real need, a real reason why you're in a tough spot, and there is a actual financial struggle or fear of not being able to, you know, of the cost of the actual agent, you know, killing the deal, professionals are going to always work for you regardless of what they get out of it. I know some of the best agents in this market, myself included, that sometimes, you know, we have a professional courtesy conversation with the other agent and we say, hey, we're sorry that, you know, there's less being offered out. I'm taking less, but this person is in a tough spot. This person can't, you know, they can't afford this. Don't assume that an agent doesn't want to come alongside you and help you if there's a true need, but there needs to be a true conversation so that you can understand that. And I would also say, just kind of speaking to that same thing, another thing that a FSBO doesn't have is relationships. Hey, Dave, a FSBO does not have relationships. And in this market, I'm going to tell you something right now, you know, that goes a long ways. Being able to say, I trust the agent on the other side. I trust and know the lender on the other side. I not only can help you understand what this offer says is going to happen, but I know who to hold accountable to it happening. I know that this person is a person of their word. You know, those are really big things that go a long ways. And on the back end, you know, that matters and that helps transactions to get done. You know, there's times that, and I'll be honest with you, there's times I'm on the buy side and they say, well, I've never heard of Alameda Home Mortgage. And then when I say, okay, well, I've done X amount of deals with her, you know, I can't promise you there won't be any bumps, but I promise you there'll be communication. I promise you this. And I do that edifying process. Agents say, you know what, I feel comfortable. And they don't feel comfortable. They feel comfortable because they trust, you know, me. And that's the same thing across the board on the listing side, right? We know, like, oh gosh, you know, here's what, you know, we can speak to like this. Yes, this offer, this is tough, or yes, that's a contingent buyer. But let me just tell you, this agent is, you know, a superstar, and this agent's going to make it happen. And this agent is skilled and passionate. You don't know that as for sale by owner. You don't know those reputations. You don't know that history. You don't know that experience. You don't know the skill.
Absolutely. I agree with all of that. Multiple clients that I've talked to that I know that you are working with, they've let me know that what you're listing the house for, they never thought they could get. And that right there, I've told them, oh, look, she already earned her commission by getting you more money for your house. So, you know, I think that one thing that people don't take into consideration is both of us are licensed. We're licensed. I'm licensed nationally. You're licensed within the state. And in those licenses, we have to consistently, it's not only about our license in the beginning. In the beginning, we're taking real estate law. We're taking courses on appraisals. We're taking contract classes, how to write a contract, what's legal, what's not legal.
Right.
These are all really important things. And I'm licensed, like I said, nationally, I have to be. I'm also licensed through the state of Nevada. You're licensed through the state of Nevada. And we both know that neither one of our licenses are taken lightly. There's continuing education every year, and it is down to very specific wording on every single contract that we write and every document that we have our clients sign to make sure that we are compliant and that we are not going to get our clients in any type of trouble, and that we are out to protect them through and through and through. And because of that, we do have a price tag on what we make. What is great about our job is I've had so many people call me and say, okay, what do I owe you for going through my credit with me? Nothing.
Right.
I make nothing until a loan closes. You make nothing until a house closes. Our services are 100% free up until the time of closing, but we make sure that we earn it. And if you don't think we're earning it, then don't close with us. And that's just the bottom line. We will earn the money that we are meant to make.
Well, it's funny you say that, because I went on another listing appointment last night, and it was a bittersweet appointment. And I always am honored and humbled when somebody, opens their door, and more so than opens their door, opens their life and their story. I think that's really powerful. And this gal she's very, very sweet, very awesome gal. And she just had, a rough turn of events, and, lost her parents and lost her spouse, and, lost a lot of people. And the house is, the family home has went from, an active home to more of a way down. And it's holding her back right now. But at the same token, she doesn't know what she wants to do. And I told her, I said, listen, there's no reason. And she had talked to different people, and there was different options. And I said, listen, there's no reason not to take one step forward. I said, I'm not going to charge you any hidden fees. I don't have it written that, if you don't sell, you got to reimburse me my marketing. I'm a professional, and I run a company and a business. And sometimes we have losses on transactions. Sometimes we have wins on transactions. But what I'm willing to do is I'm willing to put the work in to help you take step one to get those offers, so that then it's not, well, should I sell? What would that look like? How much could I get? This is an unprecedented market. If you're toying with selling, this is the market to test it. Okay. So I said, listen, let's put it out there. This is a very unique house. This is a very unique property. This is a very unique situation. Let's see what it is, so that you can actually make decisions based on concrete information and not big hypothetical question marks, so that you can say, okay, now I have X in hand, and I could have this in hand in 30 days. And then I have 90 days to leave here, and I don't have to do anything. Now you make that decision based on knowing what you actually have in hand. Right. And she was like, wow, that is just huge. And I said, and the risk is on me. If the house doesn't sell, I take that risk. The cost is on me. If the house doesn't sell, that's my marketing dollar that's gone, not yours. All I'm going to do is get you the offers, so that you can make a decision of, okay, do I want to actually move forward and do this? And so I think sometimes too, sellers underestimate that, because again, in her mind, she does. And I think sometimes we just think, our first thought, and whose first thought isn't, I want as much money as possible. That's a normal first thought. But as I broke it down to her, and I said, okay, well, what happens in 3 years if the market's different and you're still here? I don't want to be here in 3 years. You don't want to be here in 3 years? Then we need to sell now, because we know now is a good time. You know what I'm saying? I said, okay, what about in 18 months? I don't want to be here in 18 months. So when we start asking questions, a lot of times sellers self-discover and realize, you know what, you're right. I need to go in that step, and I need to go in that direction. So I think that, this is usually your largest asset. Very few people have, homes that they're selling that are not among their top 2 or 3 assets. It's usually your top number 1 or 2 or 3. And you should not just lightly, I barely clean my own house. There's somebody that can clean my house better than me. There's people that can clean my window. There's people that can fix my plumbing. There's people that fix my cars. There's not things I try to do a lot of DIY on, because it's just not worth it. Every time I do it, it doesn't work the same. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
My bathroom is beautiful. And the other day I was like, a handyman should not have done this. A tile setter should have, because there's 3 nail holes. Why are those there in the middle of the tile? Oh, they forgot to take them out. Hire the professionals. It will get you a better return on investment.
Hire the professionals.
It'll get you a better return on. It'll get you a better return. So, anyways, I hope you enjoyed this episode of Money Matters, and it does matter. And so, as always, if you have great professionals, lean into them. Ask them questions, let them be there to guide you. But if you don't have an agent and or a lender, we would love the opportunity to be that resource for you. You can get a hold of me at 775-379-8344. And Sharon, what is your number?
949-201-8940.
All right. And one final plug this Tuesday, we are for the Women's Council of Realtors. I do sit on the board. I'm the membership director, and we are doing a blood drive. So if you are in the Reno Sparks area, come on down to Sierra Summit Mall. We're trying to save 150 lives, and like unique little value add is that they will let you know if you have the antibody. So if you've always wondered, I've always wondered, have I had COVID? You will actually find out after donating blood. So Sharon, I hope to see you down there with us. That would be awesome.
Wait, when is it? Tuesday?
Yep, it's this Tuesday. I think it's from 11 to 2, but
I'm sure you'll promote it and I will get it off your Facebook.
I sure will. All right, guys.
That's
Have a
awesome.
wonderful week.
You too. Bye-bye.